It's definitely a good thing. I think it also heralds like a new era for Bitcoin as we get into this halving. I think from 20 to 24 was the era of Michael Saylor. He defined that epoch of Bitcoin with his big buys of Bitcoin. And now we're entering into a new era, the Larry Finks of the world. And I'm looking over there at the Mid East at Saudi Aramco, is a huge company with a lot of cash. I think they should get into Bitcoin. I think these are going to be the new mega players in the sovereign states and the sovereign wealth funds who are going to start buying big into Bitcoin. So it's this new era that we're entering into.
Max Keiser is a legendary Bitcoin OG and senior Bitcoin advisor to President Bukele of El Salvador. Max, the former host of the Keiser Report, has been in the Bitcoin space since his first purchase in 2011, when Bitcoin was still widely thought of as magic internet money, with no prospects beyond being a pastime for computer geeks. 13 years down the line, Bitcoin has quickly shed that label and is now an asset being offered to wealthy institutional clients by some very large Wall Street players, including BlackRock, the world's largest assets management firm, with almost $10 trillion assets under management. Like every other Bitcoin investor, Max welcomed the prospects of spot Bitcoin ETFs and what they would mean for the entire financial system. Last month, before the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission gave its green light for the ETFs, Max said the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs would give big institutional investors easy access to Bitcoin. He specifically mentioned big oil money investors from Saudi Arabia and sovereign wealth funds from all over the world. During one interview in December, Max predicted that the influx of these Saudi investors would make Larry Fink and Michael Saylor's investments in Bitcoin look like peanuts with a buy order of 1 million Bitcoin. He added that such a larger order would immediately bring on a $100,000 God candle for Bitcoin. However, the ETF launch has been kind of disappointing price-wise. According to Max, Vanguard is the culprit for the decline in Bitcoin's price. He believes that when the investment management firm stopped its customers from purchasing cryptocurrency and products related to it, it dampened the excitement for spot Bitcoin ETFs and delayed the rally that could have taken Bitcoin to $50,000 per coin. But it's a mere delay. Before long, Max is certain we would again be on the way to $50,000 and higher. We will now bring you clips from Max Keiser's recent interview with Scott Melker. But before we do, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
What's happening is, as you see with Wall Street now coming into Bitcoin with the spot ETFs, Larry Fink decided he wanted to have balls. And over there at Franklin Templeton, they look like they're going down the vagina route, right? Because they're going down the shitcoin route. They're talking about Web3. They've got their vagina out, which is not what we want. We want balls. We want testicles. We don't want vaginas in the Bitcoin space. We've got Kathy Woods. She's got balls, right? Which is interesting because she was born with a vagina, but she's got balls. With her ETF, ARC-B, she's Bitcoin, centric. She understands the Bitcoin philosophy and ethics. So, I stand by my word, Scott. We broke that story, and it's become ever more important. And we should say thank you to Michael Saylor because he did a fantastic job in taking Bitcoin. In my view, he took it out of the gutter because when he appeared on the scene, people were in the shitcoin world, like the Bitcoin Cashes and the Bitcoin's Satoshi Visions and all these other coins and projects and failed nightmares had some agency. People did give them a little bit of play, but when Michael Saylor appeared, and he was so articulate and so brilliant and so aggressive in his Bitcoin position, that he really put everybody in the shade, and he did a great job doing that. And he's, I think, really a hero, a Bitcoin hero.
It's hard to be first, and I think we have seen that, right? Michael Saylor was first, and I think, well, also you have to remember that Elon Musk was also involved and put that on his balance sheet, and still has it on I believe it's the Tesla balance sheet from that same period, right after Michael Saylor. So to be fair, he has stuck with his Bitcoin position, most of it, at least on Tesla's balance sheet. And so those two were first. Elon Musk doesn't talk about it as much. He rarely talks about Bitcoin these days. But El Salvador, for a nation state, I think it was President Bukele is definitely also, like you said, Michael Saylor will go down in history as the best investor, but certainly President Bukele will go down in history as one of the greatest leaders ever in history. So I think you'll see that. And yes, when it's super, super safe and when pretty much the US gives the go ahead, then other countries will follow, because it is very difficult to stand up against the humiliation. Michael Saylor did, right? As you said, people were mocking him. Many people were mocking him as it kept on going down and down and down. The same thing happened with El Salvador. We were here. We've been working for President Bukele, and we know what it was like to withstand all of the, not only the media, but the international institutions who were expressed concern about El Salvador and things like that. So I think most people, that famous video of the leader goes out there and dances, and then it takes a while of being out there looking like a fool, and then the second one comes and dances with the first leader, and then a whole crowd comes. So I think there will be a second follower to El Salvador soon, I feel, in the next 18 months, because the bull market usually drives that sort of adoption at the high level. So I think there's going to be another smaller country like El Salvador. El Salvador is almost like a city state, right? So it's 6.5 million people here. That's smaller than New York City. So I think you'll have a similarly, like maybe a little bit bigger, but it'll still be relatively small country do the same.
During the interview, Max also talks about the death of the fiat system and the birth of a new global monetary system built on the very solid foundation of Bitcoin. He explains that this huge threat has been perceived by the custodians of the traditional finance industry, and that's why they are doing everything they can to stop it. Max gives the example of JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, who keeps spreading false anti-crypto narratives. During a recent interview with CNBC, Dimon again weighed in on investing in crypto. He said, "Blockchain is real. It's a technology. We use it. It's going to move money. It's going to move data. It's efficient. We've been talking about that for 12 years too, and it's very small." About cryptocurrencies, the JP Morgan CEO said, "There's a cryptocurrency which might actually do something. If a cryptocurrency has an embedded smart contract in it, then we can use it to buy and sell real estate and move data that may have value. And then there's one which does nothing. I called it Pet Rock, the Bitcoin, or something like that." He went on to say that the only use cases for Bitcoin are fraud, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and sex trafficking. You see it being used for maybe $50 billion or $100 billion a year for that, Dimon continued. That is the end use case. Everything else is people trading among themselves.
We have the collapse of fiat money. I know the fiat money experiment, which is about 300 years old, and then it got very aggressive in the early 1970s in the US when they went off the gold standard. We went on a pure fiat money world. So the results of this are predictably catastrophic, right? The total debt for global debt is it's just skyrocketing to new highs. The US debt keeps going up. And so we're going to head into the big reset at some point. And in one corner will be fiat money. In another corner, which includes CBDC, central bank digital currency, that's another fiat money. Another corner will be gold. And then in the other corner will be Bitcoin. So it'll be a showdown between these three forms of money to see who wins. And I think the smart money is on Bitcoin. Certainly fiat money is going to lose. I think gold is also in the process of being demonetized by Bitcoin. Gold is very sluggish in its price action because of Bitcoin. It's being demonetized by Bitcoin the same way gold demonetized silver. Yep. Gold is being demonetized by Bitcoin. So it's never really going to catch up at this point, and it'll go to effectively to zero against Bitcoin. I mean, there'll still be a price for it, but it'll be effectively zero. Well, Bitcoin triggers public mental breakdowns, nervous breakdowns. Nassim Taleb had a very public nervous breakdown in the face of Bitcoin. Jamie Dimon is having a very public nervous breakdown. If I were the board of JP Morgan, I would be concerned because he seems to be mentally incapacitated and should not be on the board. He should not be running that company. Look at Jim Cramer. He's obviously been transformed from being just reliably unpredictable and inconsequential to being an outright publicly melting down clown by Bitcoin, right? So this is what Bitcoin does. It separates the wheat from the chaff. It's a great divider. I say, Bitcoin's not for everybody. It's like in the Bible that says the path narrows. You have to constantly be working on yourself to be your moral, your ethical, your own. You have to work on yourself constantly to keep up with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is perfect money. If you don't put the work into keeping yourself cleansed of fiat money and all the nonsense, you will be destroyed by Bitcoin. And we say that Bitcoin is kind of like the Ark, and El Salvador is like the Ark, and that not everyone's going to make it. And the gene pool may not have Jamie Dimon's family in it anymore, because they have made themselves extinct by going with the wrong, they've taken the wrong, they've hard forked themselves from humanity, which is maybe great for us, because we don't want those genes in the gene pool going forward. They're too stupid. He's just too stupid. That's the bottom line, is that he's a guy who is achieved his success by essentially, he should definitely have imposter syndrome for real. He's an imposter, essentially.
MicroStrategy Executive Chairman Michael Saylor also reacted to Dimon's remarks about Bitcoin. His post, which has been viewed about 600,000 times on X, reads, "If you encounter a strange new asset, Petrock, circulating on a blockchain that does nothing other than allow people to own something they can trade among themselves without fear of debasement or theft, you have just discovered digital money." A few years ago, the Justice Department revealed that JP Morgan had entered into a resolution to resolve criminal charges related to two distinct schemes to defraud. Both involved tens of thousands of episodes of unlawful trading in the markets for precious metals and U.S. Treasury futures contracts. The New York-based banking giant paid $1 billion in fines, which is barely a slap on the wrist. So, maybe it's not such a bad thing that Dimon is so anti-Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on Max Keiser's outlook on Bitcoin? Please share your comments and observations in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos. Thanks for watching.